What's good, y'all? I've got some sick buffs from my boy Galarian Zapdos. All three of the Galarian legendary birds in this ROM hack are now part electric, ice, and fire, respectively. So if you want to check out the other videos for the other two legendary birds, you can check them out after this video. Don't click off the video yet because it'll mess up the watch time. Speaking of watch time and clicking off the video, I do have an important disclaimer for any new viewers who are just clicking on this video for the first time you're seeing my ROM hack. Two things. Number one, I appreciate you clicking on the video, and I appreciate you, checking it out. And I really do. I want to encourage you to pause the video and read the description. I've got bullet point lists explaining all of the details about the ROM hack and the way it works and my balancing approaches. And then secondly, when you're done with the video, on top of all the other video links down below in the description and on my channel, and all the other resources like my Discord and stuff. I really recommend that you, when you're done with the video, check out the Google Sheet and look at the move guide, because I've got a very detailed guide with all of these different categories that you can click on, and it'll take you to that section, and it'll show you what all of these moves do now in that category, or in that, yeah, I guess you could say in that category. So, yeah, with all that being said, Galarian Zapdos, super cool changes here. So I've opted to remove Defiant because Defiant is pretty good and competitive because it punishes stuff like defog and sticky webs, but those things are defog is literally not a factor whatsoever in this ROM hack. And then sticky web is maybe like one or two boss fights out of like the 50 in the entire game, and even then sticky web isn't guaranteed to go up every time regardless, so in general it's not a very good ability outside of the early game. In the early game, as you can see on screen here, there are, as I'll show in a second, there are tons of debuffing moves that the AI will abuse against you. The player can abuse these the whole game, but the AI really only abuses most of these for the early game. So these abilities, these moves will trigger Defiant and stuff, but towards the end game, it's much more difficult to trigger Defiant reliably. The only real reliable way is Parting Shot, which is much less common than it was in Sweltering Sun. So overall, mid ability, swapped it out for Reckless, and then they also have a speed boosting ability in Quick Feet and a defensive utility ability in Intimidate, which means that with the ability to switch between your three abilities, you can essentially pick between your offensive Reckless, your Quick Feet speed, or your Intimidate utility, and that's a super fun, versatile way of using this Pokemon. And all three of them make perfect sense. So Quick Feet might seem kind of mid with 125 base speed, and in a competitive setting, you would be kind of right. Even then, I would say it's still pretty useful, but it's definitely more mid. But in an in-game context, so you're only getting a plus speed nature on your Zapdos 1/5 of the time, statistically speaking, right? 1/5 of the time. Yeah, so 80% of the time you're not getting that, and then you're also only getting 20 speed IVs compared to the AI's 31. What this means is your Zapdos is only actually hitting base 104 and below, you're outspeeding. So anything with 105 speed and above, your Zapdos will actually be slower than, despite having 20 base speed higher, unless you get a lucky plus speed nature. If you get a lucky plus speed nature, then you're outspeeding a lot more. You're hitting 371, which is like, yeah, 120 and below, which is still pretty good. I mean, you're still 5 base points lower than you would really think you are. So regardless, Quick Feet is useful. You can switch in and outspeed things, and it's really nice because obviously Choice Scarf is also a great item in this guy. But number one is Item Clause, so you're not going to be getting off. I mean, intended Item Clause at least, so you're not going to be able to spam Choice Scarf. And then number two, Quick Feet allows you to switch your moves around. So obviously you can't run Flame Orb because Quick Feet doesn't ignore the attack drop like Guts does. So you have to use Toxic Orb, which means, you'll be taking some damage, but I mean, after like, say, 3 or 4 turns, especially if you're one-shotting everything in front of you and you're outspeeding and one-shotting, you can go ahead and do that. Meanwhile, also Reckless is also making you take a lot of recoil anyways. Keep in mind that not only is Wide Lens buffed, which, as you can see here, synergizes with a lot of moves, which I'll get into later, there's also buffed Shell Bell. Shell Bell heals you by 20% of the recoil you take now, so any damage, so you heal 20% damage, right? So what that means is, by the way, damage you deal, not damage you take, I misspoke there, but essentially moves like Takedown and Wild Charge are now 100 base power, 20% recoil moves, so if you run Shell Bell, you're taking 0% recoil, and Reckless turns those into 120 base power. Same goes for Play Rough and Hell Thrust, those are both 100 base power coverage moves, so you have Fairy, Dark, and then you have your dual Electric and Fighting Stab. And then you also have Brave Bird and Double Edge and stuff like that. And then you also have Double Edge would be really cool, especially if you get Terra Normal. I think Terra Normal goes pretty hard with like E-Speed and Double Edge and stuff. And even Facade, Quick Feet Facade, Terra Normal would be really cool for Facade, E-Speed, Double Edge, all that kind of good stuff. But a really cool thing that Zapdos has as well is these high jump kick type moves. So high jump kick and supercell slam are all, and dive bomb are all 130 base power moves that work like high jump kick. So essentially Zapdos can run a wide lens and not miss those moves because wide lens is now buffed for a 25% boost. So you can also run them with Zing Zap as well as 2 coverage moves in Triple Axle and Megaton Kick, both of which are also slightly inaccurate, meaning that in a Teamlocked Nuzlocke format, which is what the game is balanced around, in order to abuse these moves, you should always have to use wide lens, otherwise you're risking certain death at any point, because if you miss, you're basically dead. And the game is designed around caring about your teammates and actually trying to keep them alive at all costs. So, point being, those moves are really cool with wide lens, and Zing Zap giving you +1 speed means that you don't need to run a Choice Scarf or Quick Feet. So if you run like Intimidate or whatever, and then you go for that, or Reckless even, to get the boost on Supercell Slam and High Jump Kick, those are even stronger than Volt Tackle and Thunderous Kick. Volt Tackle and Thunderous Kick are 120 base power, essentially. Volt Tackle and Thunderous Kick is essentially a fighting type Volt Tackle, exclusive to Zapdos. And it also always paralyzes, which is pretty cool. That's not really a huge important factor for the player ever, because if you're clicking this move, ideally you're one-shotting whatever's in front of you, like just in terms of the way you're playing. So the para should never really be a factor, but if there's an AI boss that abuses this guy at some point, then having to play around that Thunderous Kick para is definitely a fun thing to keep in mind. And I just think it's a cool flavor idea. I didn't make it keep dropping the fence just because I don't know, I think the para is a cooler flavor thing, and I think it's also a bit scarier for the AI to abuse against you compared to the defense drop, which isn't bad or anything, but I mean, obviously it's very strong too, but I don't know, I just think that a para is cooler. So yeah, Volt Tackle, Thunderous Kick both become 144 base power with Reckless, so that's very strong, and then Supercell Slam and High Jump Kick become 156, I think? 1 times 1.2, yeah, 156, so very strong. You've also got a bunch of other cool little moves you could take advantage of. You've got your coverage, like, Blaze Kick, Acrobatics. Obviously, you've got your good old reliable Brave Bird. And, oh, I didn't put Dive Bomb on this list. Dive Bomb. I mean, it doesn't really matter that much. But I may as well list it here, because it's another inaccurate move that they would like to abuse. Man, I cannot type and talk at the same time. That's pretty much it. I mean, obviously, Intimidate is great with U-turn or Volt Switch. It's just nice, strong, consistent, debuffing, which is nice. You've also got other like multi-hit moves like Pummel with loaded dice or Triple Kick. Triple Kick is 90 base power overall, so that's really strong. Just a nice, reliable multi-hit move that breaks focus sashes and sturdy and all that good stuff. First Impression is a nice little semi-unique option now. I did remove the distribution off of a lot of other Pokemon, but faster guys like this can still definitely have it as a TM, so I think that's a cool option as well. It's pretty much it, man. I don't know, Headlong Rush is obviously nice and strong. Coverage, Electro Assault and Superpower are also cool for earlier on, being 140 base power, and they also synergize really nicely with Quick Feet and Intimidate. Especially with Intimidate, you can use like Intimidate, Eject Pack, Electro Assault / Superpower, even Close Combat. Electro Assault and Superpower are both physical versions of Draco Meteor, both electric and fighting type versions, so those are really fun. Yeah, that's really it. I don't know. I mean, you got other debuffing like Intimidate plus Stranger Pulse and Feather Dance, and electric fighting in general. Like, this thing is really tanky, right? 90 overall is very good bulk, especially considering that with Quick Feet, you don't ever need to run any speed EVs, pretty much ever. So you can run like max HP Galarian Zapdos with Quick Feet, switch in, take the hit, and then outspeed and get a kill, or even 2 kills, or even 3 kills, whatever. With that Quick Feet, so that's super strong. And then the typing, this is the wrong, I have to look up fucking Palmot or some dumb shit. Yeah, so Electric Fighting has some good resists in Bug, Rock, Dark, and Steel, so that's definitely nice, as well as Electric. So Bug Fighting, Dark, Rock, Electric, very solid resists, it gives you good pivots for Intimidate, and Intimidate can also be used offensively in this case because you can take hits you wouldn't otherwise be able to take, right? Because obviously 90 bulk is good, but there's still a lot of cases where you might want to switch to Intimidate to switch in on a specific attack and then one-shot them back. So those are all really good options. Yeah, obviously Scarf with Reckless is strong. If you get a plus speed nature, that's even stronger. You don't even need to run Scarf as much anymore at that point. You'd only need to run Quick Feet for things that are like specifically outspeeding you. which is much less, you know. I already covered the base speed tiers earlier in the video. Even like Baton Pass could be like a nice little slow pivot option with Intimidate, because Baton Pass is a negative priority, so if you want a fast or a slow pivot, you can pick between those. It's really it, man. Obviously, there's a couple other implications of some of these moves that I would like to get into, but I don't really want to make these videos drag on for too long. You know, even like Roost, Intimidate is good, Strange Impulse, Feather Dance, those are both, Strange Impulse is Eerie Impulse, right? So they both drop attack or special attack by -2 respectively. So you can pick and choose with those. And overall, just be a really fun, versatile Pokemon. Thank you for listening. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Drop a comment if you did make it to the end. It helps with the algorithm and stuff. And I'll be back for more coming up, y'all. Peace.